What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Cure. And since I didn't get around to doing one last Thursday, hello Luca, who wants to come visit, we're going to do a double to finish the proper album, 17 Seconds, 1980, though once again, shout out to Phil, who has shared the Cure material and who has shared deluxe editions, meaning there's a second folder with more bonus tracks, demos, B-sides. I'm not sure, I haven't looked in that one yet, but as with the first album, I assume there's a lot of goodies in there, and we'll pick which ones are appropriate to go through before moving on to the next proper album. In any case, the final two tracks on the album are At Night, followed by the title track, 17 Seconds. So, At Night, it's a very general temporal description, night being defined by the absence of the sun as the Earth turns, as it orbits the sun, so it is a time when there is less light, and that could be used to refer to things being less clear or obvious, perhaps things being scarier or otherwise less predictable, colder perhaps, so there's all sorts of figurative meanings that I think could be relevant. It could literally just be the temporal setting for something that happens, meaning it happened at night, not during the day, not during daybreak, and so on. And then 17 Seconds, also a temporal indication, one that is, in human affairs, a very short period of time, though of course something very dramatic can happen within 17 seconds. You could be alive and well, and then you get hit by a car or something awful like that, and you're dead before those 17 seconds are over. I would also say on a universal scale, in one respect, it's a vanishingly small amount of time, and yet if you study cosmological models and thinking of the Big Bang and the inflationary epoch, it's an amount of time in which an incredible amount of hugely and forever after consequential events can take place. So, assuming we're dealing with a more human scale here, I would think in advance that it's a very short period of time, but again, even in that short span, a lot of things can happen. So, I'm not quite sure to make of it. Both titles seem to reference periods of time. Let's give them a listen. This is The Cure, first At Night, and then followed by 17 Seconds. The gritty, smoky, deep nature of that guitar riff. That's it. That's the record. Fascinating final two tunes. I was able to sort of pick up more of what was happening in At Night, referring to himself being outside, looking up at the sky, the cold on his face. I was wondering if he was watching the owls go by, owls being birds that are known to make noise and be a presence in the nighttime, or the hours go by. I think either would make sense, but I think he was saying owls. But yeah, so then he contrasted that with someone who's safe and in the comfort of their house, which could be both about protection from the change that's happening outside, which I believe he referenced specifically, or the elements, the cold, the potential dangers, the uncertainty of things being in the dark. So there seemed to be some contrast with the narrator and another person, and that could be about socioeconomics, people who live in a house and in some degree of relative assurance and comfort, and those who are out in the elements even at night because they don't have a home, they can't afford a home, and so on. So maybe there's some socioeconomic significance there. Maybe it's more a personal thing. It's not that the narrator doesn't have a home, but they're out in under the sky in the elements, and perhaps for a reason they've chosen, or because of some situational thing where they're trying to get into contact with the person who doesn't want to see them. I'm not sure. I would think maybe it's more about people who are not in a position to be safe within walls and shielded from the elements and the change outside and so on. But again, it seemed to be a contrast of sorts. Sonically very deep and brooding, not particularly energetic, but still having a lot of atmosphere. And then the last track, 17 Seconds, it was even slower, and it had that really heavy kick, snare rhythm to it. So it seemed to almost be like a heartbeat, or like a, what's the metronome or something, like where it was measuring time with the percussion, but then saying that like 17 seconds enough for a lifetime, so seemingly indicating on some level that it can actually be a significant period of time where a lot of things can happen, even if it's not necessarily about dying, even though 10 or 15 or 17 seconds earlier you were just fine. So it did seem to be referring specifically to the concept of time and what can happen in a certain duration, even those that in many other contexts would be seen as very short. But I didn't pick up on more of the lyrics in the second track, the final track of the album, the title track. Just that really deep, and that reminds me, back up now to At Night, was that the guitar, that really deep and smoky and gritty riff that kept coming around while the other sonics were sort of building melodically but also dissonantly? Like as it went along, it seemed to get a bit more tension-filled and dissonant in the melodies. And then in the 17 Seconds track, there was that, I don't want to call it jangly guitar, but there was a guitar sort of running or floating over that deeper, heavy, haunting sort of bass rhythm. So both tracks had a lot going on sonically. Lyrically, I think I caught more from At Night than I did 17 Seconds. But either way, very Cure-esque songs to end the album, though in a different way than some of the others that I felt. Like again, A Forest and some of the others had a more straight away, as I've come to understand it, early Cure sound, whereas these felt a bit more artsy, a bit more like abstract, for lack of a better word. So yeah, either way, a cool end to a record that had a lot of, what's the right word, characteristic flavor to it, and has given me a good sense of what the Cure were doing in the first couple albums. As I said, there is still a second folder, so I'll look through that and see what might be appropriate to go through. In any case, thank you again to Phil for sharing the material. Let me know what you think, and I will see you next time. Peace.